Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me for this presentation. A lot of people are talking about video calls these days, and people are reaching out to me to say how uncomfortable they feel about them. So I wanted to create this really short training to give you some things that you can use right away for your next video call. Because as we're hearing of cancellations and things being moved online, chances are you're probably going to be on a video call at some point in the future, in the near future at least. So I just want to give you my take on video because of the line of work I'm in. A lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, I could never do video. I don't feel comfortable. I hate the way I look." And I want to tell you that this is so true. Great video creators aren't born, they are made. It takes time, it takes some effort, it takes desire, but I don't know anybody who started on camera as being so amazing that they didn't need to work harder to get to their next level. So they truly are made. The people you see and who you admire for being great on video, they've worked really hard at it, which means you can do the same thing. So what we're going to cover today are 4 simple points: how to stand out on camera. We're going to take a look at your equipment, your look, and your message, and that's it. And I want to start out with my framework. And this is the framework that I teach in my video boot camp. And so we're not, of course, going through all of this in this little training. But I just want to give you an idea of what I'm thinking in terms of where this fits. And what we're talking about today fits in the prepare zone. We're just talking about preparing. But when we're talking about being a video creator and using video successfully in your business and having it work for you in the future, outside of this video call you're doing next week or a video conference you'll be a part of in a month, video can be really part of your marketing plan. And so I'll just very quickly go over what that means in terms of this formula. So it's really a 5-step process, and we're at step 1, or step 0 is really what I like to call it, the prepare module, if you will. But once we get past today, you'll need to figure out your positioning, where you live in your ecosystem in terms of who you are compared to your competitors, and where you want to be seen, and how people can find you, and why would they want to work with you. All of that can be done through the video messaging you have. From there, I have a specific process I work people through in terms of creating video, and I can't say painlessly, but in a process that at least doesn't mean you're creating video every single day of the week, because that's a big pain. So the process I have, the scripting, the formulas that I share in terms of what you say on camera, when you say it, and how you say it, we talk all about that in the process module. Publishing is one of those things I didn't ever think was part of this formula, but what I find is people will create video and then they'll sit on it for years. So that doesn't help anybody. Promise you, no one will see a video that is not published. So we talk all about publishing in the 4th module of this formula. And then finally, promoting more than you create, honestly, so people can see the work you've put in the very beginning, and you get to leverage the work you've done in the future. So that comes in the future after we talk about preparing for video, because truly you have to start with the great foundation. And so that's what we're talking about today. And then from this point on, you can then use video to help reach whoever you want to reach with whatever message you have. Why, at least to me, is it important that you master video? Well, it's busy out there. It's crazy out there. And I will say that people would rather Google you and see what comes up than go into your store or pick up the phone and call you, because they're not going to call you. They might text you, but they really want to meet you before they see you. So if they're trying to find out more about you and they Google your name and there is a video, they're more likely to watch it. I think we're all kind of like that. So if you master video in this sense, and you have a few videos out there that outline who you are and how you can help people and all of that, then they can meet you. They have that chance to meet you before you have done a thing. So you can be live in person or live on camera. And the reason I say this is I meet a lot of executives who are so great on stage. And maybe that's you. Like, you're great on stage, you're great live, you can speak to 1,000 people with no problem. You won't break a sweat. But you turn on a camera and they freeze. And that's okay, because we're going to work on that today. But if you master video, then you can do either. You can be that person live in front of 1,000 people, or you can be live on camera being interviewed by a journalist, or you can be that person who's on stage being filmed and be okay with that. So why then would you continue to master video? So you can leverage this power of one to many. Kind of like what I talked before is, if there's a video of you speaking about A, B, or C, somebody Googles that and finds that video, you haven't done a thing. You did it in the beginning, but in the point in time when they found that video, you didn't do anything, and we'll just reap the rewards. And this last point is probably the one that is the most important to me. Is I have talked with too many people who, after the fact, they'll say, boy, I wish I'd met you sooner, or I can't believe I said no. Because some people will say no to opportunities, which are everywhere. They'll say no to opportunities because of fear of the camera, for whatever reason. And so this is designed to keep you from saying no out of fear, because that makes my heart hurt. So the problem with the typical video conference call, and we've all been on conference calls, we've all been on these, some people don't realize they're on camera or something, I don't know, but one or more people involved wants to take a nap, and it shows, or they're eating, whatever, like craziness. And the other thing that I see a lot of that I don't have written out here is when they're on conference calls and they're not actually showing their video. So if you're on a conference call with a potential boss, I think that's a no-no. I think you need to be on camera, you need to be presentable, and we'll help you do that in this short training. But if it's a video call and you know it's a video call, your camera should be on. The other problem is there's no beginning, middle, or end. And that could be on the part of the conference organizer or the person who put together this call, or could be on the part of you who is talking forever and ever and ever. And like, if I went on a tangent talking about my kids and my last vacation and my bathroom renovation, like, you might be kind of interested, but you will never know when I'm ending. And so why would you want that? So you need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And people typically aren't prepared. And if that's the case, you know it, because then you run the same problem of sort of having a never-ending conference. So that is the problem, but not one you'll have after today. So how to stand out on camera. And I know these are simple. But having run my video bootcamp several times, these are the things that people tell me over and over again they didn't realize. So I'm just going to tell you this right now, is to smile. Like, please smile. If you don't feel like smiling, please smile, because that will signal to your brain that you're having a great time. Which ties into point number 3, is to increase your energy. The thing about being on camera is that it flattens you out. Like, if let's just say I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and actually I didn't sleep great last night, but let's say I felt the way I looked this morning, I'd be like this, and you would be like, what is wrong with her? And you would understand that I had a bad night of sleep. Now, you might still think I had a bad night of sleep, but hopefully my energy doesn't share that with you, because you have to actually increase your energy higher than you would normally feel like you'd need to have it in order to look normal on camera. So there's a flip side to that. So it means that if you think you did poorly on camera, like if you thought, oh gosh, that was a really bad video, or that was a really bad take, that was a really bad appearance on this TV segment, and you watch it back, it's not as bad. Like, it's really in your head. The flip side of that is that you might think, I killed it, I did so great on camera, and then you watch it back and you're like, oh my God, I look like I was bored. So increase your energy and feel like you're over the top and watch it back and see how it feels once you watch it back. So then back to the middle point here is to look in the right place. One of the things that you might not realize is annoying to you when you watch other people on camera is that they're not looking in the right place. Like they're looking at everything else except where the camera is, because maybe they don't know where it is or they're not sure where to look. So here's my rule of thumb is if there's a camera, look at it. And if you're on some sort of call where there are a lot of people and you can't really tell, like because there's a lot of people, then look at the person on the screen. But if you're presenting, if you are the person giving the webinar, or you are the person in charge of the whole thing and moderating, then make sure you look at the camera. So there's a little hole and there's usually like a green dot or a red dot, or if you have like a webcam, then you know that's where the camera is. Make sure, even though it feels uncomfortable, look there. And make sure that you stay there, because look how shifty this looks. So I'm looking in my camera and then I'm looking around and I'm looking in my camera and I'm looking around. So just stay where you are. If at all else fails and you really need to look at yourself or you need to look at people on the screen, then at least be consistent. Because that's the other problem is like people just sort of like move around and then that becomes uncomfortable. Like people just don't know what to do. So smile, look into the correct camera and make sure you increase your energy. See, like the woman in the picture, she's very, very happy. Okay, let's talk about your equipment. And this, for some reason, stresses people out a lot. And the one thing I would say is the most important thing you need to think about is audio. You do need to think about audio, and then you need to think about video, and then you can think about lighting. And you can spend thousands of dollars. You can spend so much money. You can spend hours of time trying to figure out the best configuration of this, that, or the other. The one thing I would say is just use the phone you have or your laptop if you're using Zoom or some other web conference software. But use what you already have. Like I wouldn't go out and buy something new so you can stream. You can use a webcam. I have a Logitech. I'm not even using it right now. I'm just using the camera with my Mac laptop. But use what you have and be okay with that. It's not necessary to buy more in order to have great videos. And so that might not necessarily apply to you in this training. But I know for some people who want to start using videos and making them for themselves and their brands and creating their personal brands and such, they're waiting to save up to buy new equipment, and that is really not necessary. What you have is more than fine. I don't have any external lighting on right now. I'm just sitting in front of a window, and that's really key, is make sure the window is either in front of you or to the side of you, not behind you, because then people won't be able to see you. And so that's my second point, is they need to see you. Okay, let me go back to audio. I am using a microphone. And would I necessarily, so I know that when I move this around, the audio is kind of crazy, but I also know with the microphone, the audio is pretty clear because I'm in a room with curtains and carpet and fairly high ceiling. So without this microphone, it can sound pretty echoey, and I don't really like that. So I have this microphone. It's an ATR 2100. Was under $50, and it plugs into my laptop. It's a USB microphone. So I don't suggest you necessarily have to get a microphone, but if you know you typically do a lot of videos or you're planning to do more videos, consider that as a small investment. A microphone that either plugs into your laptop or plugs into your phone. And I've got options on my website, cheryltanmedia.com/resources. And they're not expensive. Of course, you can spend quite a bit of money, but in terms of having a piece of equipment that allows you to be heard more clearly, that is very, very important. If you don't have an external microphone, that's fine. Just make sure that it is quiet everywhere around you and that you're in a place where the echoes can be minimized. Like I've got a lot of construction outside of my house, so I can hear it and it's pretty windy. You might be able to hear that, but without this microphone, I know you would hear that a lot more clearly. So audio is really important because, as you know, we're busy. People will definitely turn off your video if they can't hear you. They'll definitely turn it off. And if you are in a group situation, they'll get mad. So you make sure your audio is clear. Make sure that you can be heard and understood. Okay, in terms of video, like I said, your video is likely just fine. Whatever camera you have or laptop you have is just fine, but make sure you're in the frame. So I talk with a lot of people who, in the very beginning in their videos, they're like here. Okay, I'm gonna say that in the camera. They're here. It's crazy. So they're like in the side, I guess, because they don't want to be full on in the screen, but you need to be here on your screen. So if you can see me, I'm in the top of your screen. I have just a little bit of room, a couple of inches from the top of the screen, and my head fills the screen. So, I'm supposed to be there, just like you are. So just sort of angle the computer, set your computer on books, use a tripod if necessary, but use something to steady your equipment so that you don't have to hold it and that you can be in the frame, in the screen, the way you're supposed to. In terms of lighting, like I said, I don't have any external lights right now. Of course, you can buy external lights. I have resources right there on my resources page that I do have, and I have some here. I just don't need it because my window is the best kind of lighting possible. It's free and it's right there. I just suggest if you are going to use a window, just make sure it's in the right place, either in front of you or to the side of you. And if you're not sure, then do some test shots, like test audio, test video, do test screen recordings, and just see how you look and how you sound. And that's really all you need in terms of equipment. So let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay, for your look, and she's lovely. This model is absolutely lovely. But as you can see, I have, I'm not agreeing with anything she's got on. Wear a solid color you love. Unless you're like a beauty blogger or whatever, wear a solid color you love, because chances are if you love it and it's solid, you look great in it. So period, a solid color you love. And as you get more comfortable with video, pattern away. Wear as many patterns as you want, wear as much jewelry as you want. But I find for people starting out, for those who really want to focus on their message and want people to focus on their message more than what they're wearing and their hair and all of that, they really like to just look professional and wear something solid they look fantastic in. The last piece is so important. Please, ladies, lock down your hair. Hairspray that sucker. Like, don't be touching it in your video, because people remember that kind of stuff. And it is distracting to people in the video room, as well as it kind of takes away from what it is you're trying to say. So lock down your hair. And then finally, in terms of your message, it's important to get to the point. And when I mean by getting to the point, it doesn't mean that your video or whatever you have to say in front of your colleagues or clients, if you're on a video call, it doesn't mean it has to be short. It just means they have to know very quickly why they're there. And make sure they know, like in the first 30 seconds, what they're going to get out of it. If you're presenting something, or if you even have something to say in response to somebody else, what is it that the point of that is? Tell them what you'll tell them, and then tell them what you told them, and then show people your path. Let them know where they are in your journey, getting them from the beginning, the middle, all the way to the end. And one of the things that I talk about with corporate clients especially is something called focus. And so this is really more effective on stage, although the face forward that I talk about is really like making sure that if you are on camera, that you're facing the camera. So it kind of all ties together. But face forward, own the silence. One of the things that we as creators, as speakers, we always feel like we have to fill all of the time. And I'm guilty of that for sure. But if you're thinking about something, if you're chewing on a thought, you're trying to come up with some words, instead of filling it with phrases that don't mean anything or ideas that really have no place in your conversation, own that silence. Take a beat and it's okay. Or if you're asking a question, give time for them to respond. So own that silence. Cut out your filler words. And one of the things that you can do to cut those filler words out is to record yourself, and do that on a regular basis. So every time you are practicing your videos, make sure that you hit record and watch what you have put on camera. So cut out those filler words, use your voice. And when I say use your voice, is make sure that if you are reading something or if you're presenting something, that there are inflections in your voice. And a lot of times, it's one of those things you don't think about. You're just sort of wanting to get through the presentation. You just want to get through and get done. But in this case, it is in line with keeping your energy up and increasing that energy and keeping people in your audience attuned to what you're trying to say and involved and engaged. And then finally, and this is my favorite piece of advice, is really to speak to one person. Is because it can feel kind of lonely. It can feel like you've just got all of these people you're talking to, and so you're not speaking to anybody, but instead speak to one person. Maybe it's your ideal client, maybe it's your boss. For a long time, when I was first in television news, I was speaking to my mom. And she was not anywhere near me. She was hundreds of miles away. But I always imagined that on the other side of the camera, it was her listening and nodding and telling me how great I was. No, she wasn't. She still doesn't do that. But imagining she's on the other side of that camera, at least understanding what I'm saying. So speak to one person, whether that's someone you know or someone in your ideal client roster, something like that. But one person is a critical person to think of as you're putting together your presentation. So one of the things that I was surprised by, pleasantly surprised by, was the success of peer pressure in terms of getting people to use video on a regular basis. And so with the video boot camps that I've been holding, I put people within the program together as video accountability buddies. And when I started doing that, I thought, okay, well, then they can talk to each other about any questions they might have. And if they have more questions, they can come back and ask me, no problem. But what I realized is they were accountability buddies for each other. But more than that, they were peer pressure. Like they were peer pressure buddies, because one would tell the other, okay, when your videos due, or when you're going to have your videos up in the Facebook group, and they would post them. And then the other people would see those videos and be like, oh, I need to get my videos in. And then they would do that. And then they would start that circle, that cycle, which was really, really cool. And so I realize now that that's just the way it is. Like you sort of need that kick in the butt, if you will, to get those videos done, because nobody really wants to do them. But once you do them and you see other people have done them as well, it just creates that solidarity, and it's pretty powerful. And I realize now that confidence is contagious. It is definitely contagious. And I love seeing it, because once you see that confidence, you start to see it over and over in the same people. And they just, we needed it. And we need that reinforcement over and over too. So it's not like it is there all the time, but they have confidence to create one video, and then they see someone else in the group post another video, and then they get their confidence back to post more. It's a circle, right? So to recap, make sure people can hear you and see you. Like all of you, like in the screen, and they can hear you clearly. Increase your energy, even if you feel like you are energetic enough. Lock down your hair, please, please, please. Get to the point and have fun, because that is so, so important. Have fun in all of this. And that's actually the most fun for me, is people realize that it is fun to be on camera, where before they didn't really feel that. All right. Any questions that you might have? We do have the next video bootcamp set for May of 2020. It'll be Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. So 4 Thursdays in May. It'll be for an hour each. You can look for details at my website, CherylTanmedia.com/bootcamp. And I thank you so much for joining me today.